Hello, everyone, again. Boy, what a chilly day. And I just read some of the comments already people have on the chat. And my friend from Wisconsin, he just told me it's snowing there. And we got a freeze warning tonight. Fix my crooked hat, my lord. There you go. Anyway, it's been a fun week. Weather up and down, crazy. Um, Yesterday, Nathan had his last two play performances at the high school that he's going to be attending. He is the backstage coordinator. Yes, he got promoted to that position, and I'm so excited about that. He, you know, when we went to see the play last night, um, it was amazing. I've been doing well, ever since my high school, I've been involved in stage performances. I went to a school that required you to major, and I majored in music. So I was involved with the orchestra, the band, the jazz band, you name it, the stage plays, the musicals. And I never saw eighth graders put on such a professional performance. And the scene changes were just fluid. They built these basically little a wall on casters that on one side was the radio broadcasting office for a kid. This was High School Musical, it was called. And then when you flipped it over, it was something else. And I thought that is ingenious. Two sides, two different purposes, and all you got to do is flip it over. So they would come out in the dark, dressed in black, and of course, Nathan wasn't doing any of that. He was supervising. So, because now he's the big shot. So, anyway, it was wonderful, just absolutely wonderful. I could not, I was in tears almost watching this. Um, and this is it. This is his last year in St. Peter's Catholic School. He's going to be attending, what is it called? It's got a very long name. Yeah, anyway, high school. And so he got accepted. He had to write an essay. And I told him my story about me writing an essay when I was training to be a combat medic. And that led the way to another school, which then led the way to San Francisco, Presidio, which then led the way to me meeting Janine, which then led the way to Judy being born, which is only his mother. And I told him, you would not be here had it not been for me writing that essay. So do the best you can with yours and then turn it in. And that's what he did, and he got accepted. Now he had to take like an SAT almost to get. I don't know what that was about because this is high school. Okay, this is not college, and so apparently he did well enough to then continue on. Of course, expensive as can be, but it's a fantastic education, that they get there. Our Lady of Good Counsel or something like that is called, and it's just down the street from where they live. So that'll be wonderful. He can walk home with his girlfriend, no problems at all. All righty, enough of that. Oh, we also went to eat at a Japanese sushi place afterwards, just down the road from the school, very close to where they live as well, and had a wonderful time. The poor kid was just a zombie. He was so tired because he's been doing every night from 5 to 9:30 at night rehearsals, and practicing and practicing and practicing, and then going to bed, at least trying to go to bed, and then wake up to be at school at 7:30. It was tough. It's been a tough week for him. uh, Tomorrow I'll pick him up. He's got soccer practice in the afternoon, and I think he's got a couple of more games to go before. It's not a real season per se, but they're playing other schools just for fun in various places. All right, that's it. Let's get going here. I gotta be done by 2:30, preferably 2:15. My wife and I have to go someplace and then be back home for my son to come over and visit me. We're watching WrestleMania, yes, and this is the second night. He is a huge wrestling fan, and so was I. I grew up with my daddy watching wrestling back in the 60s. Okay, and so yeah, it's something that we always do together, and usually it used to be around his birthday. Now it's a couple weeks later, so his birthday was the 3rd of this month, and Nathan was the 16th last week. Hmm. I got a little bit of the wonton noodles that I had for lunch. Anyway, let's get going here. Ron K, Trenton, New Jersey. Ecotech 8550, Kimmich Ultimate Lifetime, Canon R5 Mark II, Canon 7D. Richard Bender's here from Hagerstown, Maryland. You know what he does. And by the way, he's going to be my guest next Sunday. So make sure you are here. You don't want to miss this. He's going to teach us how to do the proper way, how to do HDR photography using the Nikon D300. I'm going to bring mine from upstairs, have it here, and then he's going to walk me through the process. And then I'm going to go ahead and start trying this. As long as the weather doesn't, keep me inside. Like my friend from Wisconsin said, I wonder how waterproof the Nikon is, right? Yeah, it's just crazy. It was raining this morning. I told my wife, there's rain outside. He says, what? Was that supposed to happen? Yeah, well, you flip a coin, and that's how the weather has been working lately. Nigel Waters from Wales, UK, Canon Pro 300 with all the trimmings. Feslope, Fred Elias, Warren, Michigan. Good morning, Joe. Hey, good morning, Fred. And you can see what he has. Yeah, 150 is out. You let the cat out of the bag. I already have it. I downloaded it, installed it, and yeah, it's fully automatic now. Mike Cheney put up a new video. I cannot play the YouTube videos here at the same time, so you'll have to do that on your own. Um, Basically, what it is a fully automated version where you can choose to do it manually or just simply click a button, give it a name, and that's it. You're done, pretty much. It'll do the rest for you. It will automatically save that name, apply it to the profile, and so forth. The chart is new, so make sure that you begin using the new chart, which has a much very wide black border that requires you not have to trim it. There's no trimming required. Just pop it in there. You can put it right on the upper edge of the scanner. It really does not matter any longer. And we'll go through that. Don't worry. We'll go through that. I got a few more things to talk about, but we'll hit that and go through all the steps. You can still do things absolutely manual if you wish to do so. So in fact, I just did a chart on the metallic luster paper, and we're going to be processing that today. Okay, and then we're going to tested on a image that Richard Bender just sent me the other day. Kevin Berniarski, Ellsworth, Wisconsin. Are you getting snow over there as well? Canon Pro 300, Epson 8550, and an XP 15000. Awesome. Photo Nikon 780, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. How's the weather up there? And I'm wondering how's the weather in Toronto. I wonder how Mike is doing. Um, this is crazy weather, I'm telling you. All right, and then I think by the end of the week it's going to go up again to summer-like temperatures. He's got a Pro 1000. He's got an EcoTank 8550, XP 15000 OEM inks, and papers plus Red River, Ilford, Canson, Staples, QMH Ultimate. Yeah, Staples is quite, a good batch of paper. A lot of if you look carefully in the rear package of a package of paper, you often see where the paper mill is from. And one of the ones that I used to use, I think it was a matte, like a premium matte something or other. It was made in Germany. So, not really bad paper. They're actually pretty good for very low cost. HZ from the Netherlands, spring and flowers everywhere, windy weather, Epson EcoTank 8550 print prism, Epson Ilford Canson papers, Pentax DSLRs with vintage prime lenses and two 4x5 cameras. That's some serious stuff. Harold Davies, hello, my friend. We got like not even about a month before we join and have fun together, you and your friends. Um, yeah, Mark and Polly. Yes, let me make sure I remember those names. Um, yeah, I just read this a little while ago. It's snowing. I got to tell Janine, I don't know how snowproof my Nikon is. Holy cow, unbelievable. Yeah, 70. We had a case where here it was like 87 degrees. And then the following morning, I had to take my wife for a procedure, not a procedure, but I think it was dermatology. They were going to freeze something. Um, and it was like a blizzard, a genuine blizzard out of nowhere. So Steve is here from Germantown. Hello. Epson EcoTank 550 R2000. Man, we got to get together, man. Send me an email. Harold Davies, wonderful. I love that when I traveled through Kansas and Missouri needing a four-wheel drive one day and walking. Yeah, Missouri was terrible. I spent 3 years there. Ice storms like you would not believe, and tornadoes, of course. And baby Judy, we just sleep through a tornado. Like we lived in a mobile home park, literally outside the gate of Fort Leonard Wood, and that was our first home. And at least the all of the mobile homes were really very well anchored, and yeah, but it still shook a little bit, and Judy was just sleep through it, and we would be terrified. I mean, not my wife so much because she comes from Wisconsin, but me from LA and Puerto Rico. We had hurricanes in Puerto Rico, not tornadoes. So yeah, crazy. T-shirt typo. What? HC. Okay, let me see. Harold Davies, wonderful. I love what. Yeah. Okay. All right. I got it. I got it. MPM photo. Nick Marmolejo, Deer Valley, Arizona. 3800 Piezography Pro inks. He's got a 15,000 chipless, of course, PCSE inks. Same here. Humage Ultimate Lifetime 01, Photo Roll Max, and Sony Alpha 6000. Captain Don Z is here. How is it down there in beautiful Richmond? You guys getting the same coldish weather we have? 49 degrees right now. He's got a Pro 100, older trimming, Sony A77, 65, and a 350. I'm going to show you. I don't know what you're running on your Pro 100, but I'm going to show you something I did a little bit earlier this week. I installed a new Pro 100 out of the box and OEM inks, and I wanted to go back to OEM so I could make comparisons. So I had a profile, of course, from the company with the driver, and that is for that OEM ink set. And then I did a print prism profile with the same ink set, same paper. This was platinum gloss. And I compared the two prints. Now, the one, well, we'll get to that later, but you'll be a little bit shocked at the results. I was. I didn't really expect much of a difference. Charlie Graw, Epson P800, P700, a V39 scanner, I assume, Nikon shooter. He's got a Z9 and 852 D300. Yeah, great. That's the one I have. IR, what is that? My infrared? Wow. And QMH Ultimate and Print Prism. Ah, you're set up. You're good to go. Photo Nikon 780 today in Edmonton is 65, but last week we got 4 inches of snow. Yeah, winter does not want to leave. Definitely, it's really messing up a lot of the like the early fruit production here in Maryland, where you get flowering trees and then you get a freeze, and that just messes up that crop. I mean, literally. So, alrighty, that's it. Let me go ahead and open up my subject list. So before I get into print prism, that'll be the last thing we do because I want to be able to just finish up the two scans that I just printed, not scans, but the two charts that I just printed. I want to devote the last half hour, maybe longer, to print prism. But people were asking me and wondering, like, how were these early inkjet printers that came out years ago? And I was in it. I was in it through the very beginning of inkjet technology, especially printing. Cameras were absolutely horrible compared to today. Nobody wanted to really switch to digital because of you got pixels that big. But as far as the printing goes, so one of the very first printers that I got was an Artisan something, and it came with a computer. I even forget the brand. The brand does not exist anymore. Um, the computer has 64, I don't think it was even megabytes of memory of RAM. Imagine that. It had an internal, like built-in little drive that was again just a micro fraction of the volume we have today. Of course, no internet. Um, and the printer used these by Lexmark, similar ones, except they were a little bit different, but they were like tricolor type cartridges. So inside there's a little set of dividers, and there are three sponges, one for yellow, magenta, and cyan. And then here is the print head. Built-in print head is thermal, of course. This is the electronic little part of the ribbon that connects to your um, the ink cart compartment. It's not even a printhead compartment, it's an ink cart compartment. The printhead is built into the ink cart itself. The issues, of course, were that you run out of yellow, you have plenty of magenta, cyan. That's it. That cartridge is now declared empty. You could take it out and you could fiddle with it and refill it. You can go to the mall and they would have a kiosk. They attach this and refill it right through the printhead. Amazing. And then you take it home, pop it back in, and the printer driver would ask you, did you exchange that with a brand new cartridge? You say yes, and it would reset all the colors back up to full. That's how you did it back then. It also came with a black cartridge. And that's it, four colors. It was okay for your text. It was okay for, there was no internet yet, hardly any. Um, so we weren't really doing that sort of printing. But anyway, after that, I moved up to an Artisan 720, I think it was. And that had two larger cartridges again, but they were multi channel. So the color one had 5 channels: yellow, magenta, cyan, light cyan, and then a big black cartridge. And it actually produced pretty good prints, except they faded within a couple of weeks. They began to fade. So was it the inks were horrible? No, actually, it was a combination of both the inks and the paper itself. So very susceptible to ozone. So, your images would start to get killed by the ozone oxidizing. Which ink? More than likely the yellow ink. Everything would turn magenta, cyanish looking. So a red would no longer be red in a few weeks. It would be more magenta-ish. And so the yellow ink was horrible. So then I moved up at work. We got a 13-inch version of that printer. Epson thought it was a fantastic printer back then. And China began to produce, of course, compatible cartridges for that printer because it was at that time the only one. It was like a 1280, and then they had the Artisan moved up to like a 780 or seven. Yeah, I think it was a 780. And that's what was ruling the inkjet printing world as far as photography goes. Um, and I used them. They were great. At home, the prints would never fade. At work, within a few weeks, they were like literally magenta cyan only. Like that yellow ink would just disappear. So then after that, I discovered some of the R series. They started to come up with 6 individual cartridges, and chips were, of course, introduced at the time as well. So those were pretty good. Um, Not at all suitable for black and white printing or monochrome. They were nonlinear as far as tonality went. So you were getting shadows that were one shade, midtones another shade, and highlights another shade. And that's it. Everything that was out there was a 6-color head. In other words, a 6-channel print head. The R series, 280 all the way up to like 380 series. I had several of those. I think I went through each one of those myself. Were pretty good. Yeah, they produce good prints. I still have some of those somewhere in my huge piles of prints in the back room. Um, Again, as long as they didn't get exposed to light and air, I have them stacked on top of each other, so they're basically protected. They are protected. So um, then after that, a Canon got into the game, and so Canon, the first Canon printer that I used was the 9000. So the 9000, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember. I think the 9000 was 6 or was it 8? I don't remember. I think it might have been 8, maybe, possibly, maybe not. Who knows? I think the cartridges, the CLI 8s, were similar to anything previous to that. Sponge, what the heck is a sponge card? We didn't know. They didn't have chips, so you can literally. At that point, I thought I was looking at one at the store, one of the camera shops that there used to exist. I was looking at the cartridge, and I thought, "Good Lord, you can just drill a hole, fill that liquid chamber, and put some kind of plug in it, silicone, whatever, piece of tape." And literally, that was true. You could, and there was no chips. Again, once you remove a cartridge, it detects that you remove a cartridge. You put a new one in, and you decided whether it was a full cartridge or not. And so, yeah, 8 carts. Thank you, Mister Mighty Moose. That's Rick Johnson, by the way. Um, so yeah, it was easy as pie back then, and I did decide at that point. Actually, no. Let me redact my statement. I did not start with a 9000. I started earlier with some other Canon printer. It was like $115 is what I paid again at a camera shop. It was horrible. It was horrible. That printer did not have chips, but I don't recall the number of the cartridges because we didn't care about that sort of thing back then. But the prints were very grainy, very dotty. So the print resolution, in other words, dots per inch laid down, was super low, and so you could tell. And I thought, nah, I'm not gonna use ever this thing again. So I let it sit. Of course, it went bad, and I got rid of it. So the 9000 came out. Yeah, that had chips, definitely. This is a CLI Ace. that we can actually use if we just transfer chips from the CLI 42s onto them. Um, so yeah, that's it. Once the 9000 came out, that really brought everything up. And at that point, Epson 1400 was out. That was 6 colors. Um, Pretty good. I had one for years and years and years. Used it for very different things. I actually ran, they used to have a dye ink set from, I forget which company, that was for black and white only. It was all black and gray inks. And you used a rip to print with. And yeah, so then after the 9000 Mark II came out, and that's the one that I had that I got rid of recently, but I had it for years. They just provided me with years and years and years of service. Um, you could reset, at that time, there was a way to reset the internal wasting pads. They quickly got rid of that ability. They quickly blocked that from us users being able to reset your pads and so on. Then, of course, after that, things got really good. Um, I started to just gravitate over to Canon because Canon allowed us to refill and Epson did not. There were ways that you can actually refill an Epson cartridge directly, and there was a company here in the U.S. that sold a kit that allow you to install these little ports. Let me see if I even um, this is not the type of cartridge. This would not work. Let me see. I got a couple more Epson cartridges here. Yeah, here we go. So you see that? You cannot refill this one. This one, however, you can. The second hole here, you notice how it's taped? You just pop that and you insert a little, like a little valve in there that sits flush. And then you just basically, you can attach it was like a little refilling tip, custom made here, that went into a bottle of ink, and then from this port, syringe attached, and you just suck back, and it would literally siphon ink inside your cartridge, filling up all of those passages that these cartridges have. Look at this. You can see them on the surface of the wrap. You can see. Let me see right there. Look at that. Those are all channels inside, little hallways, little tunnels. That round object right there in the side, that is a special diaphragm. So it would actually suck ink directly into the port when you applied vacuum to that little valve you installed. Oh boy, was I happy. So the 2400, and I don't know if the 2800 had that ability, but the 2400 definitely did. So I was refilling my OEM 2400 cartridges and those resetting the chips. There were resetters available for those. So that was wonderful. That opened up a whole window for us home users because, and at that point, precision colors became who they are at that time. And I was using their inks. I was using inks from other companies and just basically buying empty cartridges for the 2400 TOO34, something like that. It was the name, the code, and refilling those using those little valves. Well, that company that sold those little valves disappeared, and those were no longer available. Really sad because they were, once you install them, that was it. They now live on that cartridge. You could not just remove them and install them in some other cartridge. Otherwise, you'd have a hole exposed. So that was groundbreaking, absolutely groundbreaking technology back then. And you could then refill your OEM cartridges. So you just basically sucked on the syringe until the syringe drew ink, which was being siphoned in through the, literally through the exit port. Yeah. I can't believe that these people figure that out. At any rate, then after that, what did I get? I think it was the 1900. I had an 1800, an R 1800. I never used it. It was in box. I sold it to some dude that came. I did it on Craigslist. And then I had a 1900, which was like a 2000, like an R2000, became also the R400. Those were 8 colors, 8 channels on the printhead, 8 colors. So no ink swapping, but there was no gray ink. And that caused issues again with tonality changes in a black and white print. You didn't have a totally neutral result across all the different densities. Let me think now. So then the when the R2000 came out, I bought one of those simply because I thought it would be a huge improvement. It had orange ink, believe it or not, and red. Um, the Canon side of things, they created the 9500 Mark II, which was a 10 color printer with green and red ink. But those two specialty colors would not come into play unless you were using papers like platinum gloss. They had to be like super high end papers, the ones that could actually utilize back then um, those particular colors. Apparently, the other paper surfaces or coatings didn't require them. I don't know, but again, it was very picky. I started noticing that because my red and green inks never became low. And then I read somewhere that that was because I had to be using the expensive platinum gloss paper. That would be the only way they would be triggered. And supposedly the results were very good. I really didn't like what I was getting. Lots of gloss differential. There was no gloss or chrome optimizer uh, at all during those days. On the Epson side, the R 1900, 2000, 400 did introduce the gloss optimizer, and that helped a lot along that line, removing gloss differential on many types of prints because now you're dealing with pigment inks, and pigment inks were not glossy. And they actually had different gloss indexes depending on the color. So that's it. The 2000 was gone. Then the Pro 100 came out, the Pro 10, and then in Epson side, the R3000. And we're not even getting into the large format printers. Oh, I forgot the 2880, which I still have it. I got to revive it. I got to get me some refillable cartridges. Um, that was excellent. That was an excellent printer. Um, uh, I used it for testing other inks that were similar in nature in the Epson side of things. It was wonderful. It had the droplet size was minuscule, like um, yeah, microliters. In you could produce the smoothest when you look at a print that has, say, a very gradual changing sky. It would just look almost wet because it was so smooth. You really did not see any kind of dot pattern at all. Really great. After that, the R3000 came out. In the large format, I had a 3800, 3880 as well. Again, that's a whole different family of printers. Now, right now, what I have is, of course, my favorite right there, the 8550. We have the 620 from Canon. Both of them are tank printers. My wife has the XP 15000. In the back room, I have the XP 4200 for sublimation. In the back room, I have the Pro 1000, the P800, and the 3880, 3800 that have valves. And then the 2880, I still have it back there. I have a Pro 1 working so far, and then I got a P or Pro 200 as well. Oh, here I got a Pro 100 as well. So we're pretty loaded as far as printers go. We can do quite a few things. In fact, Matt McNamara asked me to give him a list of the printers that I had available, and I did that. I don't know what he's is planning on doing, but I hope if he's going to be developing something, I don't know. I don't know. He hasn't gotten back, so I gave him the information, and that is where we are at this point. So, at this point, I can create pretty much whatever I want. The P800 has roll adapter. I got a 17-inch roll of paper on it. The Pro 1000, of course, that's for cut sheets. You can do, I think it's like 17 by 40 something with the newest firmware on it. At some day, I might consider an 1100. We'll see. We'll see. I would love to test the Pro 1000 with 1100 inks, in other words, and see how that works. See if I see a big difference. But that's me just dreaming. So, all right. So, just today, this very morning, a person asked, B200 error. I've had my Pro 10 for 8 years. Pro 100, I'm sorry, for 8 years. Got the B200. I did this. I did that. I did that. I'm gonna reset the internal waste ink pads, and I'm going like, how are you going to do that? You can't. And besides, that's not going to do anything about your B200 error. You need a new printhead, practically. So let me just walk you quickly through what I had to go through. So my Pro 1000, 14 plus years old, decided to start throwing those errors at me at that point. And yeah, it would work. I would turn it off and let it sit for half an hour, turn it back on with the plug unplugged, of course. And it would be fine until a couple prints later, the blinking light again. So after I let it sit there, I ignored it. I had the 1400 sitting on top of it for sublimation, and that just refused to get unclogged. I couldn't unclog it. So at that point, I just gave up on it. So I decided then finally to get a printhead. I have a couple of ones that I bought, and then I have printheads in my other two in-box printers that I still had. And I went ahead and popped the printhead in. I went ahead and popped my cartridges in. They were all OEM, but OEM converted ones. Um, it would accept most of them, and then some of them would just the light would be very dim, or it would start blinking. And I closed the lid; it would not go through the initialization. And then I come to realize it wasn't really the cartridges themselves; it was on the carriage, the chip readers, all those little pins that are there, and they can come off very easily. And good luck putting them back in. So you got to be really, really careful if you attempt to clean those contacts. I'm talking about the carriage that onto which you install the printhead. If you remove a printhead, take a look inside. You have to literally go like this. There are those little pins, and they slide off. They're not there permanently. They're meant for you or the technician at the repair shop to be able to replace them. So I used a Q-tip very carefully with some Windex with a little bit of alcohol and so on. I even used contact cleaner for electronic contact cleaner, and it would not help. So definitely that part of the printer, which is nothing to do with the printhead, was not working very well. So I had to then get rid of it, and I replaced it with a new one, a new printer. And so far so good. So that's working really well. I've been doing some print prism profiles. But yeah, so the thing is, B200, that is a printhead issue. It could be a printhead communication issue. It could be all sorts of different types of issues, but all pretty much related to the printhead. So I told the guy, no, what you're doing is useless. Unfortunately, I hate to tell you, and you just need a new printhead. And luckily, since we have a Pro 100, very popular out there, the Pro 200, they all share the same printhead, I believe. So he should be able to locate one online or on eBay as long as it's new. Now, another reason to have to replace the printhead, and I used to have a photograph, I cannot find it for the life of me. So, um, is when you see a Canon nozzle check, you see it's just a bar. And usually you print this on common copy paper, so you don't really see lines. But really, the actual band, that vertical band, represents a row from one single nozzle. dot, 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 or dash, dash, dash. That same nozzle. Then below that, there's another nozzle. Below that, another nozzle. It all sort of blends together. When you have a true clog, whether especially if you're refilling and that cartridge is not delivering ink as well as it should, you're going to see random missing zones, like what looks like an eighth of an inch or a 16th of an inch or tiny little line missing. You will see that, but not a whole half, like an upper half or the lower half. It will either not show up at all, or it will literally be like half the intensity. So you have a complete band. It's just that the upper band is lighter or darker than the lower band, or vice versa. That's an electronic failure. That is something wrong with the printhead. I was told by someone very knowledgeable, because I asked, listen, I have that problem on my second Pro one. Right now, it's not even working. My second Pro one had that issue. And yet, I was getting beautiful prints without any kind of visual defects. And he told me some, very, very fancy technical explanation about it, how that is possible. And so I thought, gee, really? I still did not believe it, but what you saw with your eyes was the actual truth. You can see that the printer somehow was compensating and giving you a perfect looking print, even though on paper, when you print the nozzle check, either one half is totally missing. In other words, half the nozzles are not firing, and yet with the other set of half, the other half set that is firing, is able to produce a perfect. Yeah, no, I was dumbfounded. I couldn't even speak, and like now. So I thought, gosh, the only way is to replace the printhead, but nobody sells Pro One printheads anymore. Pro One does not exist anymore. So why bother? And there's no guarantee that when you replace the printhead, it wasn't caused by some other issue, like maybe on the carriage itself, or possibly, and this will be like a surgical procedure to replace one of these. You have to go through this whole setup to be able to tell the printer to allow you to move that printhead to the middle and allow you to unlock it. I used to have that procedure. It's just this long series of steps you got to go through. But yeah, and then you pop in the new printhead, you fill it with ink again, money, or if you use refillables, fine. Um, that doesn't guarantee that problem didn't come from from the motherboard. Yikes. So I thought, okay, this is crazy. I cannot afford to take such a chance with this. So it's sitting there. I got the Pro 200 sitting on top of it, and that's working perfectly fine. So let's get going here. I'm going to show you one more thing before we get going with the demo of the new Print Prism 150. Let me see. Yeah, we're going to look at the results of my platinum gloss first, though, before that. But let me show you one particular image, and I can make this available for you guys if you want to try this, if you would like to try this. So a lot of people say, well, how quick will this, that, whatever inkset on this paper, that paper, under these conditions, whatever you live under at home, how long does it take for something to fade? Well, you need to have not just a photograph, not just your pictures. That is not a control. Not even the standard image. No, you need this. And this is what you need. This is the image you need. So what we have here, and then each row has a category that you're supposed to apply to it. So, and I will make this available. So What you do is you print this and then you cut it. I'm sorry. You print that and you cut it. I just deleted it. Hang on. Hang on one sec. Okay. You print that. You can use color management if you want to. And then you cut right here on this line and then apply. Say, for instance, this is the actual scan of an actual the image. This is not the actual image. This is a. I need to upload the TIFF image to my Facebook group, and then you can go ahead and download it. But then you print this, and then you cut it, and you store one, say, in darkness, like put it inside a box. You can put another one inside a Ziploc bag and seal it, and then put that in a box. So basically, the one in the box is still getting air. So it could be you're basically only blocking UV from it, and the one in the Ziploc bag you're blocking air and UV. You put also that in the box, and then you hang the other remaining three somewhere, just different areas in your house. This is one that you can print a couple of times. This has, let me see what that says. It's very very well designed. This is what Ardenberg used to use. Okay, I don't know whether they still use it or not, but they provided me with the image. So then you install this wherever you want to test it. What would be the most dangerous area in your home for prints, unprotected prints, that is? And then you just then later on, what you do is you print a new one, say a year, 2 years from now, you print a new one, and then you compare the fresh one with the one that was exposed to light. So this is not an like a what do they call that? Where you expose. This is what they do. They expose those charts that I just showed you to some kind of arc light source, and so it accelerates the amount of light by, I don't know, a factor of 1,000 or something like that. And so within a few weeks, you're going to get the result of like 10 years worth of exposure. So then you have to read, if you have a spectrophotometer, you read the fresh one compared to the one in the dark box, to the one in the Ziploc bag in the dark box. One, say, laying, or like I sometimes lay things around just to test them under my normal environment. On my wall, upstairs in the south facing window, and facing out, that is, and that would be like the maximum in your home. Then on a wall, and then you can check to see if you have ozone in your home. Then you're going to have oxidation. You're going to have a quicker fading result. At work, we had horrible conditions. Nothing for It wasn't anti-human, but it was horrible for inkjet prints, especially those early inks. So anyway, that is how you do that. Doing your own images is really not going to show you actual numbers of, each one of those patches is identical, and then you compare the numbers that you read. So how much density is being lost and so forth. Now, the other day, I decided, because I have a few more sheets of platinum gloss. So I decided, let me check using the Pro 100 with OEM inks. It's the only printer that I have currently with absolutely 100% OEM inks. So let me test that. And I printed the standard image using the OEM profile in Q image, and then the same standard image using Print Prism profile for that same paper. Okay. So the only difference here is the profile. One print is printed identical conditions with the OEM profile for platinum gloss created by Canon, and then the Print Prism profile for platinum gloss created by me. And then we printed both images, and now we're going to compare them. So, and I made sure, okay, the one on the top is Print Prism, the one on the bottom is the OEM. And you can see in the back, I don't know whether you can read the Canon, the little watermarks. So the upper one is OEM, the lower one is print prism. Let me make sure again. Yep. No, I'm sorry. OEM on the bottom, print prism on the top. Look at this. Now, I made sure that because I did this earlier and I really looked very carefully. This is a little warm. This, at least when I look at it here in front of me, the camera may be imparting a little bit of a color shift. It's not perfect. This is a $90 camera. Okay. So, but I'm looking at this and I immediately see this is the proper density. Look at that. This is light. That's not the way it looks like on my monitor. This red, when I look at the again, it looks nothing like that. This looks beautiful in person. When I look at this with my eyeballs here under this lighting, this is I forget what the temperature is, but the highlights, they're like losing. I don't know. They just don't have the richness of color that I see here with the print prism profile. The babies, they pretty much look the same. I don't see much difference. I see a bit of a, sorry. I see a little bit of an issue with color here. I backlit this in the previous video that I uploaded earlier. Um, I can see with the OEM ICC, I can see number 6 and the number 4, number 2, of course, blend with the black background. With the print prism, I can see number 4. I could almost, I thought I was seeing things, but I almost see number 2, but I just decided to just say, no, it's blending black. So I called it that I can only see the number 4. So, and then the other standard images look pretty good. I looked at the zone here with the transitions, and I was looking for banding issues, some areas that may have a bit of banding. Let me move this here like this. So we're looking at this right here, and I don't see anything really horrific. The only thing that I saw was these two. I think it's a green and a light magenta right here, and they almost look the same, almost. And they're very light. This is OEM. This is print prism. You can see the difference between the two. And then, of course, the outer gamut colors. These all turn gray when you look at in Photoshop using gamut warning. Let me line this up here. Well, everything is flipped on my screen. So there we go, like that. Okay, so look at the upper row here. Look at the difference. See how you can depict those greens? You can actually see them. In fact, here live, I can see that this is a slightly different shade of green than this one. Here, it just blends. So obviously, those colors are beyond what most of our images would contain, unless we go crazy editing and maybe oversaturate things a little bit too much. But because if you look at just the normal images, you don't really see that much of a difference. See that? This one, this one, this one, this one. Da-da-da. Except the red, which is a little bit strong here. This is OEM. And then on the print prism, and again, I don't think you can see it on camera, but visually here, as I look at this, I want to eat those. Yeah, I want to eat them. My electron micrograph looks rich. It looks good. And it's not that it's printing it darker. No. If that was the case, I would see all of this blocking up. And when I shine my light through it, I can see number 4. So better than this. So it's not that. I would have to take a reading, a density reading of, say, just to make life easier, these little patches right here. compared to these and actually get the densities themselves. And you could see if these are meant to be a linear increase in density, like a straight gamma curve instead of a curve, a straight line, you will see equal increases in density. Which one would have that? I am not going to do that. I'm not going to read that. Um, Again, I'm just using my eyeballs here. So this came out amazing. So nothing else changed except for the fact that I used a profile from Print Prism compared to the OEM profile for that same paper. Okay. All right, let's get going. Let's get jumping into, let's see, it's 12:57. So we got a full hour we can devote. And I got Mike Cheney here so he can help us walk through this. So the other day, last week, Mike Cheney told me what he was planning on doing. So I recalled myself saying, what else could you possibly do to Print Prism? If you improve it, can it be like a recognizable difference in output? Gee, what I thought was good last week, this week makes that look like crap. And this week, no. We're at that level where it's almost imperceptible, the improvements, the visual improvements. But the use, how to use the interface, has come to the point where this dummy right here can just press one button and get it done. Get her done. Yeah. So he started with a new chart. That new chart simply, and this is what I thought, but I wasn't about to dare to ask him. Hey, Mike, wouldn't a wider black border sort of work a little bit better? Because I think the software is using that black surrounding border to locate the little indicators that locate the corners. That may be the reason. So he widened the border. So you print it exactly the same way. Check that out. So now I don't have to write it in the back because I used to have to trim that. And now I don't have to write it in the back. I can write it in the front. So I have a nice remaining white border. I don't have to trim that off anymore. No more trimmer use. Okay. I can just sit this on the scanner and scan it. So this is on 8550 Red River Polar Luster Metallic and Print Prism 150. This one here, we got to do this one. I forgot to mark it. We'll do the same thing. Bear with me here. So let me make sure I use the same naming structure. EcoTank 8550 and red. This is red. This is Canon Platinum Gloss and PP. And again, now all I got to do is pop this into the printer, the scanner, and scan it with the new software, the version 150. So you want to make sure that ink is dry before the marker, before you put it in your scanner. You don't want to stain your mirror and then you have to use an alcohol pad to remove it. So I'm just going to pop it in. I'm going to just line it up with my bottom edge here, like so. It's sort of centered. Not perfectly centered, but hopefully it'll be. And before we begin, let me go ahead and catch up with the comments here. People are telling me the temperatures. Okay, I got that one earlier. Richmond was 51 Yesterday was 83. Yeah. Here it was about 80. And now it's 51 here as well right now. Very good. So 9,000 had 8 cards. Yes. Did that have did it have red ink? I seem to recall. I don't remember. Yes, it did have chips. Emmanuel from Normandy, France. Ikotan 8550, color monkey QMH 1, sunny afternoon. Well, good for you, man. I wish, uh, anyway, I wish it was the same here. BKC 1965, good evening from Germany. What part of Germany are you at? Are you from? My wife's family is German, British, and German. So her last name was Schreiber. Schreiber with a B. They settled in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is Mike Cheney. Greetings after 11 days of coding. Yeah. Did you get any sleep last night? I hope you did. I hope you did. 14 hours per day. I thought I'd take a day off and watch the Joe Show. You never take a day off, man. I know you don't. But welcome back. Photo Nikon, Mikey. I am just loving Print Prism. Great job. All right. See that? Mike, I don't want to start this. Maybe I shouldn't even ask. Have you heard anything negative from anyone? Because you just created Pandora's box. Yeah, you opened up. Wow. What can I say? Okay. Photo Icon says another great testimony for Print Prism. The worst $700 is spent in buying data color print studio, best $35 spent. Yeah. That's what I'm getting at. Have I not me, not have you heard anybody saying anything? Let's just say, let's put it that way. Yeah. Are you saying we don't need you anymore? No, that is not true. You got a point there. Oh gosh, you're right. You do have a point there. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe if it does, I'll just trim that off and we'll begin again. Okay, so red and green, excellent. Yeah. Yeah. How available are those nowadays? Are they still available? The CLI8s on like eBay or whatever. People grew very smart and began to sell them instead of taking them over to the Staples for so-called recycling. And then all of a sudden they would end up. I would see a batch of 600 cartridges on eBay being sold. I wonder where they came from. They're not recycling anything. Don't believe that lie. There you go. That's the reason. So just so you know, and of course, Mike obviously knows this. If you print them wrong and the scanner is only going to scan them, that scanner's profile is embedded in the software. It is expecting a certain result within a margin of error here and there so it can then correct. If it's something yellow and it looks purple, you see what I mean? So you have to make sure everything is printed correctly. That's why QMH Ultimate or One is the choice here for printing the charts. Does any Mike? Does anything out there besides having to use a an app to be able to print that chart with zero color management? Are there any editing tools that, common editing softwares for images that can print something with color management turned off? Do they have that choice, OFF, like QImage does? You can answer that for me here. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think there is. Yes, I'm going to be testing that. Drum roll. All right, let's get going. This is now you got me going. Now I want to see. So let's open up this baby here. All right. So let me see. Now, if I was a first time user, Mike, so I would have to make sure that, let me bring this down a little bit. There, can you see the whole thing now? A little bit more. There we go. Now we can see the whole user interface. So if I was a first time user, oh, by the way, folks, Mike uploaded a video covering everything to do with this. Um, if you feel like automatic uh, kicks you out of having full control, you don't have to do automatic. You can do it manually any way you want. So let's just say this is the first time I'm using this. So I would look for my printer, my scanner, I mean. There's my 8550. Um, Here is my profile description. So I have 8550. I have Red River, Polar, Luster, Metallic. And we're just going to scan it. Now, here I have it set for 5 scans, 20-second cooldown. I don't know if I need 20 seconds. I think 10 seconds would be enough. Neutral and normal. Maybe if I wanted to, say, for instance, not block number 2 on the standard image, I could probably use boost. But the truth of the matter is number 2 and number 4 really don't matter that much. Okay. It's not like we're trying to create Ansel Adams results here. Okay. Where he did maximum dynamic range. He did that on black and white negatives, by the way. So we'll just go ahead and do that. So here is your manual settings. If you want to do everything manually, we're just not going to bother with that. I have coffee here so I can drink it while this is being done. So let's just scan and create profile. By the way, so the minute that I enter this here, it's going to be translated to this. And there it is, the same name and the location for the profile. I should have one already, on the way there. So we're just going to overwrite the previous one. I decided to print my chart again with the new chart. And we're going to go ahead and scan it, and we'll do that now. Enough talking. Scan, and yes. And then if I had some music, I could play it in the background. But let me go ahead and keep looking here at the you did the same thing I did previously. By the way, you see that it's already on the second scan, and it's cooling down. The second, getting ready for the second scan. Cool down is 2 seconds, 1 second, and scanning number 2. And you can see here the light flashing. So Mike suggested that I go upstairs and get a bite to eat, come back down, or if the phone rings, I can answer the phone. And then when we are done, this will be already created. In other words, a profile will have been fully created automatically. You don't even get to see. I forgot, but does it even display the scan itself and the corners being selected, or do I have to go to manual mode to see that? I think you told me that everything is just done automatically straight through. So now we're scanning pass number 3. All right. So Harold did a plain paper profile. So when you print your bills and you print your um, gas receipt, your gas heating gas receipt, it's going to be printed correctly, right? It's going to match what you see on your gas company's screen. Wow. Uh, I'm not being, it's just amazing to me because I did the same thing. I did a profile for regular paper, and it works. Give it time. Eventually, print person will be able to print the targets. What? Wait a minute. Just to see if I can improve it. Congrats to all it. Yeah. What do you mean there, Mike? I don't know which one are you referring to? So it's target is scanning with even with the, okay, there it is. Look, detecting corners. Let's check. Boom, 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 boom. Holy mackerel. Hey, even with the Sharpie, there you go. Now you can add that to the claims. That now you have a white border onto which you can use a Sharpie and write down the information for that particular chart that you printed on a particular paper, particular printer, and inks or whatever. Okay, so it worked. See that? All right. Okay, so there was an old Adobe color printer utility that printed without any color management. But I print everything. Everything I print is through QImage, and QImage provides me that. So why do I need to use something else? Oh, I see. Oh, stupid me. Yeah. Eventually, print person will be able to print the targets. Ooh, holy mackerel. Yikes. Okay. So you could definitely do that. You could definitely do that. And then for those who just don't want to, how much is QImage now? $70? Those who do not want to spend $70, that don't own QImage, they've never used it, can actually print the targets. If you put a small print utility built into this, oh my God. Wow. Ta-da, psh. Yes, sir. All right. So I think it's making the profile. Look, folks, wait a minute. I wasn't looking. It's doing my profile for me. You sneaky little piece of software, you. Holy cow. I think it's done. What? I don't believe you. Hang on. Hang on. Wait a second. Where's my color folder here? Let me open it up. Let's see if it's true. Let's look at I have this set by date. So on the April 19th, 2026 at 1:16 p.m., an ICC profile named Red River Polar Luster Metallic or Metal was created. Metallic. I guess it's true. It worked. Okay. I am just as shocked as you, maybe. I'm not going to get into the manual choices here, what you could do if you want to, for some crazy reason, wanted to do it manually. Let's do the next one. So this is going to be the Pro Luster one. Not, I'm sorry, Platinum, not Pro Luster. Keep in mind, I simply are lining up the bottom edge with the edge of the scanner. So what I'm going to do, I think what I need to do here is basically give it a name. So I'm going to look, I want to make sure that it matches the same. I already did a profile on it, but I just want to make sure that I don't end up with two profiles. So let me see. Can I search that folder? Right here. Let me search for that folder. I'm looking for I'm going to move this over here so I can see it better. It'll be the 8550 Canon Platinum Gloss. Here it is, right here. Okay. Right there. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. I don't think I have to copy that. I don't need the BMP. I know that. I'm just going to enter that. Whoop. What did I do? Here we go. And remove the PNB. I know there's probably a better way to do this, but anyway, so let's just go ahead and scan this baby. So it's going to find it there. Mike said that immediately it's going to, yeah, look at that. Platinum gloss. Holy mackerel. And the same thing here. Okay. Let's just scan it. Why? Why waste time? Boom. And boom. And of course, it's just going to overwrite that image, that scanning image. It's going to do the first scan. The light is flashing. Everything is happy. Truly amazing. Good Lord. Okay, he just told me how to do it. Where's the new profile image? What do you mean? Oh, the chart, you mean? In your picture folder. Okay, hang on. Hang on 1 second here. There were some other. Okay. My print person profiles produce prints that look better than custom ICC profile done by my favorite paper manufacturer. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I am assuming that when you see a profile, excuse me, when you download a profile, I don't need to. I'm gonna go to me here. Trust me, this is working. When you see it or use a profile made by a paper manufacturer, and they're say for the 8550, they're using their 8550, which is not the same as your 8550. There is a margin of error, output accuracy wise, that printers are released under. So if they fit within that accuracy, plus or minus, they go out. But that doesn't mean they absolutely match. And I don't know what they're doing. I don't know whether they're creating a profile that's just good enough. In other words, if outputs change like this among releases of the same model, I'm going to create a profile that's maybe this small so that it works with all of them. Am I thinking crazy thoughts here? You then create your own profile with your printer, your batch of paper, your batch of ink under your control conditions. Of course, it's going to be made specifically for that model. Whatever its faults are, wherever it lies within that plus or minus range of error that can then be released, it's going to be better. It has to be better. So I'm not surprised at all. Okay, we're done. This oh, look at my marks right there. It didn't do anything, Mike. It worked. You can say, tell the world, tested by Joe, that you can actually write on that upper edge of the paper. The only thing I suggest is that please let it dry when you mark it. Do it the night before. That way you're not going to smear marker ink on your scanner's glass. And look at that, it's creating the profile already. As I was talking, it's creating the profile. OMG. Wow. That is insane. So we got to test this. We have to test this, um, especially the metallic one. Let me get a sheet of metallic. I have a sheet of gloss there. Let me make sure that's what it is. Yep. And I got to see if I still have any of this. But I have quite a bit of the luster. I prefer the luster to the glossy metallic. We'll do the luster first and then the glossy. And then that'll be it. I'll have to call it a day because today is just a full day. I almost cancel if it hadn't been for Print Prism's new release. Okay. We're almost done. I was replying to your question about the other software can properly print targets. Print Prism will be able to print targets eventually. Yeah. How much coding would it take to do that, Mike? You would have to create a mini, just that one setting, the off setting, and incorporate that into like a new button, print. Um, yeah, and then load the chart and print it. And that way, with the driver turned off on the printer you're printing from, and then no color management from the Print Prism application. Whoa. I think at that point, I can't really come up with. These are things that would have never entered my brain because I would think, no, come on, man, you're being really ridiculous here. But no, you're not being ridiculous. Whoever suggested this, you're spot on, as they say in England. Okay, yeah, that would make it the perfect software. Oh my God, wow. Mm. Yeah, it's done. It's done printing. All right, I'm going to close that, and I'm going to come back to me. Well, let me go through these real quick here. That's why I never get a break. Always something more to add. Yeah, but just think what you're accomplishing here. Harold says, I did a plain paper profile because Mark's wife, Polly, prints images from her cell phone and doesn't know how to select photo paper. So, yes, I was just being weird. But is it, wow, really? So, you're printing through your phone. Does the phone application have color management? Because you would have to still apply that profile you create. And that's what I'm teaching Nathan how to do. By the way, Harold, the ad on the program about backstage photography, yeah, his dad came up with that, but he's been actually doing it. He's got my old D90 Nikon D90, big heavy monster of a camera. Not compared to the D300, which is lightweight. He's been using that backstage. Okay, first look to find the new current trick file in Print Prism and then show printed targeting file. There you go. B corner photo. Mikey, thanks for your work in Print Prism and QMH Ultron. Oh, yeah. They have actually helped me photography fun, made photography fun for me again. Yeah, it's all of a sudden you can print without any issues. Yeah, I didn't even talk about printing back then. That what the learning curve was like. I talked about my early printer history, how I started getting into this. But yeah, it was crazy. Nobody knew what to do anyway. Even the printer companies didn't know what to do. So it was all guesswork. Thanks to the color engineers that got involved with Canon and Epson to create a process that we today still use. Okay. All right. HEC says Print Prism 2027.354 will OCR your Sharpie, right? And feel like, oh man, okay, that's funny. That's a good one. That's a good one. It can possibly happen. Good Lord. Okay. Uh, what is the optimum time to let printed targets dry before using Print Prism to provide a general rule for? I would just say overnight, 1 hour. Yeah. I Mike, do some inks um degas quicker than others, right? Isn't that what we're looking for? We want whatever is left, humidity of the inks inside that emulsion to leave, and then the printed surface reaches a relative humidity level that is pretty much stable. It's like when we're drying our converted cartridges. This one here needs to be flushed. I would flush it, and it would be nice and white, and I would drain all the water out of it, and then I literally what I do. This is me being super lazy. Um, Piece of tape, and I put it on my heater vent upstairs. This is only in the winter, of course. And overnight, they're dried to 14 grams. So at that point, the relative humidity of the cartridge will match the relative humidity of your, you know, conditions. Um, so again, in Arizona, air conditioned room, that print's going to be drier than say in Puerto Rico in a non-air conditioned room. Imagine that. Okay, corner photo says B BC. Okay, yeah. In my case, I sent a printed target on Permajet paper to Permajet, and they created an ICC profile for my printer. Yeah, their profile is very nice profile, no doubt. But yeah, so you would that's how I was doing it, and I was charging like $25 per profile. And I had, if you send me 3 profiles, I would give you a cut. I would give you a better. But then I found out I was doing that illegally, so I cannot be using the copyrighted software from X-Ray. So I stopped doing that. Um, but yeah, you print the charts with QImage. This is what I would tell my customers: print your charts with QImage using off. That turns automatically turns off color control on the driver, and of course QImage opening the charts that I would then ask you to download from me to get printed correctly in raw form. When you're printing with the proprietary software of a spectrophotometer, that software does not change that chart it creates. Okay, it's raw. Driver raw, software raw. That's what QImage is doing. Right. Ooh, exactly. Exactly. All right. To make print prism, print targets is actually a lot of coding because you have to handle multiple drivers, different size media. Well, you can make it different size media. We don't need different size media, just 8.5 by 11. Make that the standard. You don't like it? Too bad. I'm being mean here. The standard and original size. That's it. And then a list of, then the software should then find the drivers you have in your computer. That's it. What printers you have available on your computer? Just one size, Mike, an original size, as far as the image when you place it on that document. That's what I've been doing in QImage, just original size. So I print your chart you created in its original size on 8.5 by 11, and then I get that beautiful print. Okay. No, you don't have to give people different size choices. No, no, one size. That makes it simpler to code, I would assume. I don't know anything about coding, but I would assume that would be a simpler way to go. Can you program print person to bring us like coffee or tea or other beverage if we're needing? Use Smarty Pants. Yes, of course you can. It's Mike Cheney, for God's sakes, folks. Come on. He did the impossible for me. You know that little app that I keep showing you guys? He created that. There you go. There you go. Good answer. Next version will connect to your Neuralink brain implant so that all you have to do is think about creating a profile and it's done. All right. I have a serious request. Can we have the ability to choose where the scans are saved? You can already do that. Click the button next to the scan file name and pick wherever you want to locate it to. So you can create, just create a folder, any location within your hard drive, and assign that folder. Just like when you're using, say, Epson scanner, um, I can choose where the scans are being sent to. It defaults to your pictures folder, but you can send it wherever you wish. That's already on there. Right. And then it defaults to that folder. It's just like when using the Epson scan software. Mike, thanks. I was simply trying to think about it, but my Neuralink must be on the fritz. Yeah, you got to make sure that's actually working and properly set up, I suppose. When you guys are joking about this, it just cracks me up because within how long ago did we start hearing about AI this and AI that and Chat GPT and Copilot, and has it only been like a year where we're getting bombarded by AI? Things are moving way too fast for this old brain of mine. Maybe I need one of those links, but it's getting a little bit crazy for me, keeping up with all of this. I see videos of the lazy girl who says, Copilot, create a financial plan for me. Shut up. Do it yourself. My God. All right. Enough of that. Man, nobody will do anything anymore. My wife and I watch videos, and you could tell that the narration is AI creating. It's just a voice reading because it'll say, for instance, Mikey, C, pause, 8139. Oh my God. All right, let me see what I actually wrote. I was trying to think about that, but okay, all right. Harold Davies says that I don't know about Polly's iPhone color management. So if it images colors, I'll install a profile when I see them next week. Yeah. I'm not sure about that. By the way, can you just post it here? It's fine. When do you arrive here? I thought it was the 20th, is around there. Let me know because I have to make absolutely sure that nothing else interferes with your visit. Just give me the dates that you will be in town. Okay, Mike Cheney says there's a huge range of drying times, depend on both the inks and paper and the environment. Watch a glossy print that comes out of the 8550. The grays and the grayscale lighten before your eyes. Wow, so that's definitely, yeah, serious right there. So, and I actually did notice something. So I was looking at um, I did Red River. What was it? I forget the name, but it was part of the sample pack that uh, I think was Fred sent me. Um, one of them was like a 280 something, and the other one was like three something GSM. So one is very heavy, same coating. So I printed one of Nathan's class pictures, the one where the kids are serious, and he has the banner at the bottom that says the class of, 2026. Um, I did that on the lighter weight paper, and the paper is nice and flat now. The other one that I printed on the heavier paper, the paper is curled away from, the emulsion must have expanded. I don't know how come the paper cannot be, no matter what. In my environmental conditions here, that heavier paper has curl. And I would have thought that the base, because it's not a resin coated paper, would absorb moisture and do this to counteract the moisture that entered the surface coating. I don't know. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought. Excellent. This is going to be fun, man. All right, let's get going. Print this. I'm going to print an image from Richard Bender, and then after that, I might do the another one on the glossy paper. So let's go ahead and link all of this up here. So far, this was the very first time I tried Print Prism 150. So you can either trust me or not. I did not do it last night. I wanted not to do it last night. I just simply wanted to print two new charts. Question for Mike: if I load one of the trimmed earlier charts for fun, just to rescan it, um, it'll work, right? I think you answered that for me the other night. So where are the new? Hmm. I'm looking for Richard Bender's images here. Why can't I find them? Here they are. RB. Okay. So let me look for that one. I think you sent me one just recently, just the other day. And then you resent that again for me. So I think we did this one last week. Was it this one here? The ski? No, that wasn't it. This one, right? This is the one. That one. So that should look really good on metallic. Let me see. Let me get this set up. Let me remove it now that I know which one it is. And I am going to apply a border, but then I'm going to go ahead and just make sure I don't crop it. There we go. We'll print it like that. I want a little border. That's fine. And now we're going to use that filter we just created. So this is going to be with the Pro Luster, and then the click on here, I'm just going to browse and click on the date because we just made this just now. Luster metallic, relative, black point, boom. That's it. That's all you need to do. You're ready to print this baby. But, because I'm a non-trusting so-and-so, I am going to look to make sure my driver is set to none. Oh, wrong one. Advanced. And no color adjustment. You see that, folks? Automatically. You cannot double profile. You're no longer going to experience that weird looking photograph. Okay, does this need any kind of sharpening? I'm just going to add. It's okay. We'll just go ahead and print it. Color looks great. I would print this on a canvas if I still had any, but I kind of run out of it quickly because it's so awesome. I could print this on the Strathmore satin, not satin, but the what do you call that? Linen acrylic paper. But I'm not. I want to see how this looks like on the metallic. And that's it. I did this on the other screen. Don't worry. I just added some sharpening. There you go. All right, let's print this. So now we can just directly print it. It'll load. We'll take a look at it. Let that baby load. Victorian portraits. This is what I did for my miniatures. That's going really well. Right now we're working on a room that it's actually almost finished. I'll show you guys that maybe next week or the following week. Next week will be Richard Bender's Day here with us. Let's see. Let this load, and then I'll load another image here. And we'll print that on the super glossy platinum gloss. We'll do maybe one of these here. This is a good one. I want something with a little bit of green in it. So maybe we'll use this image right here. But this needs to load first. Okay, done. So now for the next job, look what I was making before. I was making some tiny images for my wife's room. That room is the shop. It's going to be a sewing shop in remembrance of her sister who passed away last year. So we're going to go ahead and apply the Ultra Premium Photo Glossy that I used when I originally made that profile chart. That's done. And then here, the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and browse and just let it load. Click on the date. I found this to be the easiest because I make so many profiles. There it is. Canon Platinum Gloss. And boom, done. Now I'm just going to add my little 1/4 inch border and load. I think we chose this one here. And I'm going to go ahead and let it crop it. I don't know if this is, let's see. Yeah, it's just a little bit of cropping. I will leave it like that. And that's it. Ready to print. Load the other papers right behind it already, so it's ready to go. So, the mystery of whether you can actually write on that edge. Look how close I got to the border. So, it apparently does not do anything, which is awesome. That really helps me because I don't want to write in the back. I really don't. I want to see it in the very front. That almost makes me want to redo everything. Why not? I like the look of that print. It looks pristine. Really looks good. Okay, yeah. That'll give us plenty of time to do what we would like to do. And that is, I know you guys want to do the DC tour, the museums and all of that, Smithsonian and the mall, that huge spans. I would like to take you guys to look at the Lincoln Memorial, to look at the river, to look at the Jefferson Memorial, of course. The For the Washington Monument, you got to get tickets. You got to like apply for that before you cannot just walk up and do it. So and then want to whole spend a whole day those two sites that I told you about, and then that's it. And then we can just hang out and drive around and look at everything. There's a lot to see here. You're not going to do it all at once. I definitely want to show you the Walter Reed National Medical Center and NIH and where I used to work. That is historic. You have to go through there, and we could do that on a drive back from DC. And then of course you guys are on Connecticut Avenue, so that's just like I am like maybe a quarter mile away from Connecticut Avenue, connecting with University Boulevard. You just follow Connecticut Avenue south, and you get to your hotel from my house. Wow! Holy cow, Richard, this is awesome. Yeah, look at that. Look at the glow that provides. Oh my gosh. This is better than sublimation. I think. I think it's better. Mm. I don't know whether you can what it does it justice or not. I don't think so. But this is better than sublimation. And I think let me find you again here. That was you, right? You sent me this. I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure. Mm. You did a great job with this one, Richard. And I know you're not going to divulge your secrets how you accomplished this. Um, but yeah, keep doing it. And I'm going to go ahead and not maybe for this one. I have so many different images that, and I cannot just be creating new ones and adding to my repertoire for the show this October. Yeah, but this would be another good one. And I would do this on a canvas paper or the linen paper and sell it as a poster, provided you give me the release to do that. Um, of course, then when you come over to visit me, we'll do one hellacious lunch date, okay, on me. Maybe around Halloween time. Yeah. The show is on the 3rd, and it's going to be in the Frederick area. How are we doing over here? Still printing. So yeah, what do you guys think? This demonstration here just blew my mind, because how would this translate? Now what I got to do now, and do I have any more of this paper? Oh shoot. Is to go ahead and compare on a regular image the OEM profile. This it's not fair to use the standard image because it's a little bit demanding, but a regular image like from my repertoire or Richard Bender's or Harold Davies, he's got images as well that I have been provided for, and see how the OEM profile for platinum gloss, um, compared to print prism on a Pro 100 with OEM inks. Like, according to Canon, that's the way to go. There's no better other option except maybe the Pro 200, which is what they did to solve that issue they had. Yeah. Just has a little bit of a warmth to it. This is neutral. I can see number 4 over here. Possibly number 2 here. I can only see number 6 onward down here in this area here. So it's a little bit of a blockage. Now, I didn't talk about the highlights. So I can see, yeah, OEM did very well, except the print prism is better. So OEM, I can see number 253, the region of the highlights. 254 is blank, 255 is blank. And with the print prism, I can see 254. So just under white. I maxed it out. Mike, did you hear that? I maxed out the dynamic range of this chart, this image. From 2, I can almost see 2, but I'm not going to say I can actually see 2. We'll just go to 4. 4 to 254. And yet with the OEM one, I don't have that kind of range. I lost a little bit. Woo! Don't break your hand doing this, okay? Do not do that. Okay, don't break your hand patting yourself on the back. Yeah, you deserve. We'll pat you in the back. How about that? Yes. And I really appreciate it. I have so many ideas that I'm going to do with some of those metallic papers. The other ones I've been sort of going through. Some of them I've already used in the past, but the metallic ones, wow, yeah. And I was a non-believer as far as metallic papers went. Oh dear Lord, look at this. Wow. So where that bit of a dynamic range increase applies is like here. I assumed that would be as bright as a board. I'm sorry, as bright as a border this here, but no. I see a tiny little bit of tonality there. So even my brightest highlights, this is all AI generated, folks. It's not real. It's not a real photograph. It's an AI photograph. Okay, AI image. And yet, like here, good Lord, like this is okay. This will be like 000 and 222, 333 areas. The camera cannot depict it, but I can see it with my eyes. The detail is there. My Lord. Wow. All right. And yeah, it matches. What else can you ask for? All right. Whew. Let's see. Mike has one last thing to say here to us. When you hold up those prints, and I think Print Prism made those colors, I have to pinch myself because of how good it is. I really pat myself on the back, but it's hard not to with Print Prism. Yeah. Like I have a problem because of my arthritis. I can do it this way a lot easier. When I do something really cool, like some of those mini prints or the room that we just got finished doing. Yeah. My wife always says, don't break your hand patting yourself on the back. Hey, come on. You have to do it sometimes. Yeah. And even with the color monkey, okay. Let me think back. I have the color monkey collecting dust inside. Well, no, that's a dust-free environment in my drawer there. But it's just sitting there. It generated a set of 50 patches, 50, and they were like this big each. And you printed that on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, let it dry, scan it. Then it takes those results and generates a second scan, a second set of patches, I should say. And then you print that, let it dry, and scan it. And then it generates a profile. So it's taking into account 50 major color patches. And then the secondary set, and I never got that explained to me exactly what it was actually creating. But it looked like a bunch of like pastel colors, slightly different shades, slightly different hues and such. And that's what it used. So total, if you want to say 100 patches, okay. And then it would generate a profile. And even then, I remember comparing because I had, Mike, is there any way that, is there a open source a tool that you can actually look at the 3D view of a profile and then stack another one on top of it? I know that on my X-Ray software, I can do that at the end. I generate a profile, I look at the 3D view, I flip it all over the place, and I can then load a previously made profile, similar paper on top of that, and see where one profile extends beyond the edges of the other one or does not. Okay. You can compare the gamut volume. My gamut volume of most of the paper profiles that I made exceeded those on the OEM, even with a color monkey. Okay, not by a lot because I got told that you needed to exceed between. It gave you just a percentage, overall percentage. Say this much space. Now you got this much space. Well, is that increase more than 15% of the previous volume? If it is, then you can probably visually see the differences in some colors that may have been not able to be printed with the smaller, this I call it smaller profile. Um, I was getting better profiles with my silly little, although $500 at that time, Color Monkey. There you go. See? Okay, thanks. I can't type it. Yeah. I would okay. I thought I was under the impression that that wasn't around available anymore. So let's see ICC view. Here it is. Wow. Okay. Oh, it's a site, right? Okay. It is a site you have to kind of join. Is that it? No, I can do that right here. Okay, excellent. Maybe on another show we'll do comparisons. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Always come up with exactly what we need. Good old Mike Cheney. All right, all right, now I know. Excellent. Okay. No, I just saw that it had a log on tab on it. So I will play with that this week. Um, and maybe depending how long Richard will be with us next week, maybe we'll do a split show. Half of it will be Richard, and then we'll go through all of these profiles, and I will compare them to the OEM profiles for the papers that we've been and see what the differences are. All right. Okay. Awesome. Man, what a productive day we had. I love it. Let me make sure that I load everything. I actually covered everything that I needed to do. So that is excellent. I had an issue with my Windows or media player. I switched to another video playing app. So let me load that up so you can have some pretty pictures to look at. That I didn't want that to happen. This one starts off immediately. So let me make sure that I do it here off camera. Otherwise, it's just going to be too loud. All right, this is all set. But anyway, if anyone has any further questions, anything to discuss, I could stay another 15 minutes here. I told my wife 2:30, but I then told her that it'll probably be 2:15. So anything you want to discuss, anything you want to tell Mike, um, this is the time to do it. And hit the thumbs up button, please. Also, later when this becomes a video, it will be monetized, so you'll have to put up with ads if you want to rewatch any of this. Please let the ads play, please. Again, just make sure you have a nice cold or hot drink with you. That's the way to help the channel. There's a super chat here somewhere that you can apply and load a few bucks my way. Not my way, but for the channel. You know what I mean. I'm not going to go out to dinner with this money. Okay. This will be used to buy supplies. And again, and also hype. When you do a comment, use the hype utility. It's really cool. I don't know what it does, but supposedly it makes your videos a little bit more exposed out there to the public. So, all righty. Thank you so much again, you guys. Harold Davies. Yeah, the IC view display. Let's take a quick look at this. Now that I saw it, I remember it exactly like I remember. Okay. Let me load up Mike's reply. Okay. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So this is it. So I'm going to go to here, right? And you could do this is color space. Now forget it. Upload, right, Mike? So choose. So I would go to, not that. I would go to, let me see if I remember how to get there. So Windows. Don't laugh at me. System 42. And then I forget. Spool, I think. And then printers, or was it drivers? Color. There we go. All right. So now we have this 8550 Canon Platinum Gloss. But see, this is not fair because I printed it on the 8550. So really, what you need to do is find a profile that you printed on the printer for whose paper is made for. In other words, so I'm using Canon paper on an 8550. I should really look, say the Pro 200 or the Pro 100. Let me see. And this is yesterday. So Riverstone. Okay, again, you're going to compare two profiles. Basically, I'm not going to do that now. I have to practice first. So you're going to compare two profiles, and to make everything fair, for instance, if I'm doing an 8550 profile from for polar luster from Red River, or the platinum, the not the platinum, but the metallic luster. I would compare it against the Red River profile and then my profile. So let me practice with this a little bit and get back into the swing of things. And we'll do that next week. I'll show you guys how to do that. And it will show you, it will overlap both. And you go for the bigger one, the one that extends beyond the previous one. If it's the OEM one, then by all means, the OEM one. If it's not, if our print prism profile is better, it will extend beyond the Red River one. How does that show up in your finished prints? It depends on the image. To take advantage of a larger volume, one profile over the other, well, you would have to have an image that has colors that are non-reproducible with the OEM one, and maybe with your, just like we just did. I showed you those bands actually on the computer screen. You see that image, and yeah, you can see those colors, but the OEM profile made them all look sort of light and almost the same color. No, that's not the way they look on the monitor. So it depends, and sometimes you will not see. It's like doing relative colorimetric and perceptual. Some images you will not see the difference because that image happens to have all the colors in gamut. Okay, perceptual only works for colors that are out of gamut. It brings them in without affecting the position of the other colors that are already in gamut. Okay, perceptual just pushes everybody in. Everybody get in that same room. Everybody, regardless. I use the amphitheater theory, where you have an assigned seat. You're a color, and you get to sit on this color chair, and they ask you to move and shift your butt over to some other to allow someone else to come in. No, that's perceptual. Okay. All right. Display cal in the past. Yeah, that was a while ago. Gamut shape only shows you the boundary between, yeah, in gamut and out of gamut. It has nothing to do with colors inside, the ones that actually print. Exactly. Print Prism also works so good, I have reprofiled all the OEM papers I use. Yeah. And this is not, when I tell people this on some of the videos that I've been, as you keep coming up with new versions, I do a new video. And I keep telling people, I'm saying, it's not me saying this. This is other people saying this. Okay. So don't take me to the bank. No, they're saying that, not I. Harold Davis says, yes, what's going on inside is a real story. Boundary conditions are eye candy, in my opinion. Yeah. Yep. Okie doke. But it's still fun to look at it. And people use that to brag about, mine is better than yours. Yeah, no. Um, the truth is on the actual output of that print. How does that print look? Okay. And you can compare it to the previous one. And most human eyes, we don't have built-in detectors. We don't have built-in spectrophotometers. You have to look at both images. This profile printed this profile printed that. Like I said, I'll leave you with this. If I don't look at anything else but those 4 sets of images here, except for the strawberries, they have areas there that are out of gamut. There are colors that are out of gamut. I've already checked that, and it is true. Look at the sunset. You cannot tell the difference. The only area you can tell the difference is here and here. Look at that. Look at how crappy that came out. Okay. Oh, check that out. Look at that red. Remember the lack of ability to produce a good red? Boom. in front of your face. Boom. One profile over the other one. Yeah. I cannot make that up. So take it to the bank. All righty. That's going to be it, I believe. So let's see. Last one here. Okie doke. So we are going to get off now. I'm going to play my slideshow. We'll see you guys next week, as always. Download this now if you already own Print Prism. If you have not bought it yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. This is no joke. Okay, you saw what it can do. So again, highly recommend it. You don't need to buy a Spectrum like I have over here for, I don't know, let's see, 500, 1,000, and another 500, 1,500. It was worth it at the time because I was making money off of it, but no, don't do it. Don't make that mistake. Get Print Prism. All right, that'll be it for now. Thank you so much again. Happy printing, everybody. Let me close this and we will play that slideshow.